This is episode 298 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. We'll miss the skyline. Manzano.
Popcorn ceiling, Manzano, it sounds like. There you go. I'll put a skyline for you. There's a skyline. You guys happy? You guys happy?
I'm happy. I am happy. Will, we're doing it live. Haywood.
That's my deployment strategies all the time, Ryan. Just do it live.
And Ryan, signs of spring in February. Very suspect. Staniszewski.
Yeah, going out on actual stroller walks with the family and everything. Like, I hope it stays this way. But usually this is when we're in fake spring.
Yeah.
Come back to around a second or third winter. I don't know which one we're on right now.
Yeah, we're gonna get slapped so hard. You know, I literally had this conversation with my daughter. She's like, "Poppy, it's really nice outside," and I was like, "Oh, you have not been through many Februarys, my dear. Winter's still coming."
It's not just February; it can be March and April sometimes.
This is true.
Fingers crossed, it's not the week of World's March in Chicago.
This is true. Chicago has one blizzard this winter, and it happens in March. Hopefully not. Okay, well, today we got some things to talk about. We just wrapped up week 4 of the Sector series. We're going into week 5. And this week we got some leaks, leaks. We got some information. It's questionable whether or not it's considered leaks, but some cool information about upcoming 2023 Store Championship kit. And the reason I like leaks is like it's not directly from AMG to the public, but I think it's important because it's going out. It seems to be going to like suppliers and stores, and somebody shared screenshots of it. And it's important because if your store doesn't know or didn't read this email, you might lose out on a tournament kit. And we don't want that. We want you to get your tournament kit. And we're going to talk about what's in there in a minute. But before that, I want to let you guys know that our podcast is brought to you by our amazing Gold Squadron patrons. You can go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron, get awesome swag, and support what we do. All right. I figure, do you guys want to just jump into the OP kits first? All right, yeah. So we got 2 screenshots. All right, we got 2 screenshots. Here's the first one. I'll go ahead and adjust this so that it's a little bit of a better picture for you all. Just give me 1 second here. There we go. So there's screenshot number 1. So obviously it's just coming straight off of a monitor, and you know, it looks like it's an email saying, "Hey, Star Wars X-Wing 2023 Store Championship kits," and it has some information on the bottom. And it seems like specifically this email was going to UK stores. So from the bottom, it reads, "Attention, Star Wars OP stores. We are happy to announce that Asmodee UK are now taking pre-orders for a brand new store tournament kit for Star Wars X-Wing. Store level tournament kits are the ultimate challenge for players to test their strategy and tactics against other members in their local community. Each event supports up to 32 players with tiered prizes that can be earned depending on their final placement." And then this is where we're going to get some questions. On the bottom, it says, "Store tournament champions earn a standard Worlds invite, giving them a chance to compete against players from all over the globe at the Star Wars X-Wing Worlds event in 2024. Now, Ryan, why is it that bottom statement is a bit of a question mark?
Because we have this other part to what images we have received. That actually goes over specifically what prizes are in the kit, which is really awesome. But to specifically highlight why you mentioned that is because in the list, it lists 1 last chance qualifier invite. Now, this can be taken multiple ways. I've heard multiple conversations today about this. 1, it's a simple typo.
Yep. That's what I think it is.
Which one is right, which one's wrong? don't know. I'm going to err on the side of if it is a typo, the correct one is what's bolded in the main piece and body of that message out. Because they did say in streams past when they talked about OP, they said the store champ winner would receive an invite to Worlds.
Yep.
Which to me does not make it sound like you're invited to play the last chance qualifier to play in for Worlds.
Right. That don't make any sense because that's the whole
for some people though, they say even that can still be for them a worthy enough prize for store champ winner, because normally store champ winners haven't been part of like the whole World's invite circuit thing.
That's true.
But
it's been
getting someone to avoid the I got to click the button on Adepticon registration as fast as possible to get my last chance qualifier ticket. Because some people missed out on that because of that, and they have to be on the wait list to wait through. Luckily, it's been expanding a little bit more and more, and actually, I think finalized today at 180 max. So I think that they've stretched as much as they could. They've sent out the waiting. They're going down through the wait list and sending out to contact people who are still on it, and hitting the people that they can. But don't take your name off the wait list or cancel it now if you're still considering it, because people may cancel. I already know someone who's canceling because their second child is on the way a little bit ahead of schedule.
Oh. Oops.
or at least sizing out to be a little ahead of schedule. So they can't make it. They had to cancel. On the other side of the so typo actually intended to be that way, which it's a lesser on the reason why. Or etc. other reasons.
I think for me, like the way I'm reading it, I think this is a typo, the last chance qualifier thing. But in the other screenshot, I think the important keyword there is standard world invite. And my belief is basically they're just trying to distinguish between people that get an invitation to participate in Worlds versus, for example, the Gen Con winner and people like that get like the full ride invitation.
Okay. So do you think is there a possibility that we're moving to a structure that maybe if you win one of those major events, you get like a buy?
Yeah,
or some type of advantage?
I would hope so, because I was talking actually with Brandon Progos yesterday. We were talking about it and saying that we kind of missed like that whole regionals, where in an ideal world, especially right now where the player base is not as robust as it once was. Hopefully it'll get back to the point where you can't participate because there's too many people.
Good problems, right?
Yeah, I would much prefer to have enough capacity to fit everyone that wants to attend, and do like a buy or something, like some type of other incentive for the people that earned their whatever, like in the olden days, I think it was, if you won a store championship, you got a regional buy, and if you won a regional, you got a nationals buy, and so forth. And if you won a nationals, you got a worlds buy. I think it's the way it used to work. Like it used to funnel up that way. But anyway, that's my opinion. My opinion right now is that they probably are trying to
distinguish
between the standard being just like, hey, you're allowed to participate in Worlds, versus you won something and we're going to take care of you on the way in.
That makes sense to me. There's some that standard language probably means, like you said, there's something else. There's still, maybe they even haven't finalized language on what a large event win would be. Right? There's a possibility that it doesn't have a name yet, and this got caught in that confusion. But Will, I'm going to go ahead and turn to you. What are some of these sweet, sweet prizes you can win by playing at a store championship?
All right, so begins with some promos. This says 34 suppressive gunner promos, 33 round tracker cards.
What's that? What's
round
that?
Tracker
What a
cards?
round?
I understand what a round tracker is. I'm not sure what a round tracker card would be. It could just be like I'm assuming like more like a dial than anything. But I don't know how they were going to make it out of just paper to call it a card.
Here's my
Disposable.
it could be disposable, or if you go into the Atomic Mass Games website, and I have a 6-year-old who is. What? Are you okay? Did you drop something? Oh, you're dragging. Okay, I'm glad. I love you. Bye. She left the dragon, everybody. It's fine. Everything's good now. All right. So if you go to the Atomic Mass Games website where they have the print and play for objectives in that packet, there is, I believe, isn't there a round tracker slip where you're supposed to use those there's these certain tokens. What am I doing? I'm literally sitting at a computer right now.
The round trackers is just like a board that you put charges on. So assuming that what you're saying, that this card just allows you to put like charges on it, and you could flip the charges in the sequence. So yeah, it could just be something you can put like 12 tokens on, like each round, just throw a token on the round tracker. I mean, if it looks cool, I would assume it would have some nice alt art or something that'd be cool to display out on the board. Yeah, it's at the very bottom.
Yeah, this thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, it just has spaces for 12 charges.
I mean, that looks pretty straightforward. I mean,
yeah, I mean that would make sense
like
that's what the card would be.
Yeah, it's word for word.
Round tracker card.
Maybe they give you like like a cardboard version that's laminated or something.
Yeah,
Not
something
laminated,
nice. It's got some like nice
a finish to
art
it.
on it or something. Sure. We'll see. Well, what was the next one then, Dion?
We had 8 outmaneuver promos.
Yes. Then we have 8 Second Sister promos, 8 Kyo Venzi promos, 8 Venza Doza promos, 8 Lieutenant Gaelic promos, and 8 Lapin promos. So that's Scum going in reverse order there. Scum, First Order, Resistance, Rebels, and Empire. So all of the non-prequel factions. Hotshots and Aces.
Wait. There's a prequel faction thing in there.
Oh, well, that's the next one. There is 1 Poe Dameron promo and 1 000 promo. In addition, there's that last chance qualifier invite, which we'll just hand wave as a world's invite, whatever that may mean in the future. Here's the interesting thing. 3 scenario punch board sheets. So they could be cardboard victory tokens, but they could also be the objectives as well. Like in the what you're showing there, Dion, the print and play, no longer printing yourself. You could just win one by attending this event or being in the top 32, top 33 or so.
Yeah, I do. I honestly, I am 95% sure what that is these are the scenario tokens.
It's got to be, right?
Right? That just makes sense.
33 sheets is a lot, though, even for X-Wing tokens like that. Normally you only get 1 or 2 sheets in the regular expansions. So that is, well, I guess this has 3 sheets for it. So hopefully that will include a lot of tokens. There's also 3 info sheets and 1 poster.
Gotta have a poster. Gotta have it.
I assume it's got that Poe Dameron promo art on it, or the 000 promo art. Maybe it's double-sided.
I'd assume the Poe one. It's a pretty good art on all the Poe pilot cards. Or
I'm assuming
whatever, maybe new art they have on this Poe Dameron promo.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also assuming that Poe Dameron, because there's only one of them, and the 000, that maybe one of them says first place and the other one says like runner up or something like that.
Sure. Or tournament organizer. I see that there's 34 suppressive gunners and only 33 round trackers. So I assume at least one of those is going to the organizer or head judge.
Can I put in 2 cents here real quick?
Sure.
If the only thing, like a suppressive, I'll be grateful as the organizer, but I think only if the only thing in the kit is a single card for the organizer, I think that's a little chintzy.
Here's 2 other things you can essentially get as the TO. If scenario punch board sheets are for the finalists, top 2, there's one more left for the judge. Same with I don't know what the info sheets are, but there's 3 of them. So it's not an even number in that either.
Yeah, so get the poster.
There you go. The poster.
Plus, there's 40 promos, and this is supposed to be a kit of approximately 33.
True.
I want to clarify when I mentioned that there's definitely a prequel card in here. It's outmaneuver because it's on Grievous all the time.
Oh,
there it is.
Okay.
Clever
so
boy.
Just Republic is being left out. Although Suppressive Gunner has the art, at least the current Suppressive Gunner has the lat art on it.
Okay.
Whether or not it retains that art or not, I don't know. We'll see. The good question is, are these promos new art for the pilots, or are they just larger art for the card?
Here's another. Let me put on my speculation hat. Those 3 punch board sheets. One of the issues that has happened. Now we have persevered through this. We've had our own solutions with the scenario tokens, right? Like organizers have either had acrylic ones made, or people are just using their own third-party ones, or we're using the paper ones that are cut up, etc. There is a possibility that those 3 punch board sheets are simply enough punch board, depending on the size, to give everybody a few actual punch board legal ones. What do you guys think about that?
Would it have to have? It would have to have like 50 objectives per punch board, though, to cover all 33 people.
That's true.
That's a lot of objectives. 50.
I mean, if a punch board sheet, if they go 8.5 by 11.
That's what I'm saying. It depends on the size. I don't know.
It's probably going to be something about point tracking. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just trying to think if they're putting 3 of them in there, if they're 3 of the same or 3 different things.
Here's a real tinfoil hat theory.
Ooh, put it on.
What if, a new scenario required new punch for everybody? What do you think about that? We saw that in Droid Ball. What is the actual name of that scenario? Not the droids you're looking for? Something like that?
Yep.
In Droid Ball, you needed tokens for the goals and something else. I think it was just the objectives. But yeah, they had the little blue goals that you'd have to set out. So if you could put 10 or 11 little new scenario punches, that would, per sheet, that could cover each table as well. Well, wait, you'd only need 15 of them then, because if there's 33 players, there's only 16 tables.
Yep.
That would be interesting. I mean, technically, after this Worlds, we're starting the new year or season. When would be a better time to debut a new scenario than then?
That would be interesting. It'd be a reason to bring people out to try out the new scenario.
That's a good point. Ah, man, I didn't even think about a brand new scenario. Because what I kind of want to do, I don't think I have it up here.
It's not a far-fetched idea if you also include the info sheets. I mean, the info sheets.
Info sheets as well? What is the
This
info?
is like the information on the new scenario.
The three new scenarios? I mean, 3 punch boards, 3 info sheets.
Like usually,
Maybe for like the TO than for the winner.
Oh, true. Maybe.
I mean, for the TO to run the event with the information and rules.
If there was I don't know, 3 whole new scenarios feels like a lot, but AMG has changed a lot before. Like I would think just an addition 1, or put 1 in, rotate 1 out, however they want to do it, and then the 3 sheets is just helpful to be able to have enough, 1 for the TO and 2 to kind of people need to pass around at the event to recheck the rules or anything.
Sure. I mean, unless we're only playing those 3 new scenarios.
Well, that's true. Another thought with the info sheets is, there could be one paper that explains how to run an event. If you're really imagine like a store employee, they might enough to be like, all right, this is what you got to do to run an X-Wing event. This is how maybe another one that says this is how the prizes get divvied up, and a third one with some type of like general play rules. I could see
like
something like
rules,
that. Yeah,
more or less,
like floor rules, exactly. That's interesting. I'm excited to see what ends up coming. You know, as soon as somebody has their hands on this, we'll get somebody taking pictures of it. So we won't have to wait too long. Did they say on the first one? Were there any dates on here?
When?
No, there's nothing on here.
I don't think so. It says 2023 or 2023
this year? Question mark.
I mean, that's a start.
We're part of the way there. All right. So if you haven't yet, what I would do is go ahead, shoot a message, give a call. Next time you're in your store, be like, hey, I heard that store tournament kits are coming out for X-Wing. Can we order one for our store? Because the more of these you can run in your area, the more people in your area can get Worlds invites, and you share the love all the way around. And like, so for instance, for myself, even though I've been busy with home life and all that stuff, I have already sent a message to 2 stores being like, hey, I know we haven't been there for a while, but let's go ahead, let's order a kit and let's run a tournament. Let's find a day to get it done, and we'll make sure that everything gets paid for, because obviously the kit's going to cost some type of money. But yeah, that's that. Alrighty, so kits coming soon. Now let's go ahead and let's talk a little bit about Sector Series. What was our scenario this week?
Salvage
mission. So, Will, let's talk about you first. You didn't play a game. What happened?
Yeah, unfortunately, my opponent had gone on an extended vacation, so I did not get a game in. But I did see a list this week, a winning list, a top list in a tournament.
Spicy.
Not the top list, but a top list. And it is by far the most interesting scum list I've seen. And I want to hear you guys' take on it. It's got a lot of interactions going on. Classic scum, you know how it is. Mm-hmm. So let me read it off. Starts off easy. 2 M3As, Quinjest and Leighton. Lane gets free evades. Quinjest can reload his tracer missiles. They both have elusive. Lane's got heavy laser, and Quinjest has thread tracer. The thread tracer is because everybody in this list is I3, so Quinn can actually shoot first. Gamma Key, because it's a scum I3 list, so you know Gamma Key's in there coordinating, holding tokens. He's holding the tokens of Lazzarazzi. That is the YV, who can take a lock, or when she spend a lock to put a tractor out. Got Enduring, Lando, so you can focus on reinforcing and then use Lando to re-roll with that reinforce. And then the Child, because you're a big tanky ship, so why not have borderline unlimited force? Then the real heavy hitter, the real star of the list, Manaru, with the notorious Gar Saxon, Contraband, and Punishing One. So you're using those Thread Tracer locks and the notorious strains to activate Gar Saxon. And if you're just focusing, you can get those free locks to have basically a proton torpedo every time you attack. Now, there's no false transponder codes in this list at all. It's mostly support. The only debuff is the notorious strains and maybe Lat's start of engagement trigger. What do you guys make of this list? This is, I believe, still undefeated in the Kyber Team Championship.
It's unexpected for sure. It feels like one of those lists where when somebody puts it across from you, you go, "What's that do?" Because I have not seen Lazzarazzi in the YV get put down on the table. I think more than once in second edition.
Yeah, especially with Afra out now for the same price with the bigger
flew in
loadout.
2 different tournaments in Galaxies plus Gen Con.
So Marcel,
I have not seen it on the table.
Marcel, you fly something kind of similar. You have 2 YVs with Galment. What do you make of this alteration to that?
But no more Lats. It's interesting. I mean, Lats is a downgrade from Afra, but the rest of the list makes sense.
Ooh, a downgrade. Why so? Why so? Spit the
Just
knowledge
because
on
of
us.
16 points, Afra gets what, 20, 21,
20 something, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just
You would
wasting.
prefer the stress over, but see, this Lats is saving her green tokens for rerolls instead
but
of.
I don't use either of
22
their abilities.
Well,
So
see, I think that might be okay.
Yeah, like
so
I'd
if
rather
you're
get a gunner
not using
and an
abilities,
illicit, yeah, like you get the illicit and the gunner, and you just get more toys.
Sure.
But other than that, like you can do like I do Lando with.
Well, see, this is the interesting thing. What do you think about this? That Gar Saxon is, we always see with red tokens, but it does say orange tokens on it as well. So you'd use that tractor to tractor them into Manaru, and then you use that tractor to get the Gar Saxon.
Well, I would assume the main trigger for Gar Saxon and potentially Lazzarazzi's ability comes from Quinn Jass landing that Thread Tracer.
Yeah, the Thread
Because
Tracer.
when Quinn Jass shoots, he can get the lock again back from Thread Tracer, which means his lock that turn is not useful. So
Exactly.
Manaru can just use Quinn Jass lock that got acquired and use it for Gar Saxon. And then Lats could be, focus, or reinforces the base action plus the Child. So
Plus Manaru and Galment gets you to target lock focus reinforce.
I'm not a huge fan of the HLC on Leighton. I get you could tractor someone into the bullseye. I think I'd rather just have ion cannons for the consistent 3 dice. And
I think
control. Also, landing ion same thing. Ion tokens put on stuff could also power Gar Saxon too.
I think it's more the limitation of elusive more than the cannon.
Yeah,
it has to be the only justification, right? Because I'm in the same boat. Ion cannon for life.
I want to do damage. I don't want to strap myself to the elusive rocket the entire time I list.
Yeah, true.
You got to do some damage in the whole arc. I think. I don't know if you can rely on that HLC.
Yeah, tractor beam is not so bad either, being that they're all initiative 3. So tractor beam would not be.
Yeah.
When everybody's shooting at the same initiative, the tractor beam could be a good way to set up everything else and just kill something. And the tractor beam at the very end, if you really want it, is another orange token. But I don't know if that in that case you're gaining one to lose one. But I mean, you get that. You get that choice.
This Lance and Manor are hitting so hard. We're talking 3-4 hits almost every time they attack. I feel like. As long as Manor is getting locks, if they're getting locks,
they get a lock. Right?
Well, that still has
a lot
Lando
of it hinges
and the
on
child.
that thread tracer or just taking a lock action, getting coordinated from Gamut. So
yeah, Lando Child is pretty consistent
And
even without anything else.
enduring, we haven't seen a lot of enduring either, right?
No,
it
and
helps in
enduring
those
works really well with
crits
the
when you don't want to
reinforce.
point directly at them. So
Yeah, but that reinforce will cancel the crit every time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like. I've seen it only on
unless the shooting ship
key.
has it in bullseye, which isn't difficult to do, but not a lot of things want to point directly at a YV sometimes.
You don't? Why? Seems fine.
I mean, maybe this
It's just reinforcing
so
with unlimited force. So I'm sure it's
when
fine.
I think of YV, I think of Bosk, and I really don't want to be like I'll shoot him, but I want a way out next turn, or I want an escape potential. Lats, on the other hand, or Afra, I might just point at him and just go at it. I mean, granted, because Gamut Key's on the board, you could reinforce one turn, and Gamut Key hold it, reinforce the next turn. You have the child, so that you have 2 reinforces, and you can spend one of those reinforces when you finally shoot with Lando to get rerolls anyway.
Yeah, that combination, Lando and the child, is pretty ridiculous. Full mods all the time. So I mean, that's what I mean. So again, like Marcel, so you flew. What's the difference? So you, instead of 2 M3As, you had.
I had Bosk, Afra, Gamut, and Kanan.
So the 2 M3As become Kanan, and Manro becomes Bosk.
Yeah, I mean it's a
And
completely different
Lats and
list.
Afra.
Yeah. That's a
similar, but
it's similar, but it's more reliant on 2 hitters. This one is a little bit more. It's less defensive, but it's more consistent output because you have different ways to put damage out. My list is only 2 hitters and 2 support. This is a little bit more consistent, I would say.
Well, seems like a really cool list. And who was the player who was flying this, Will?
this is George. What's George's last name?
Castaneda?
Yes, from
Nice.
the Evergreen team.
Yeah.
They've been doing great up there out of the Northwest.
Yes, I recognize the name. I was just trying to dig. Where's that come from? All right, that's awesome. All right, what about you, Marcel? Did you get a game in this week?
I did. I'm still playing. This is my 3rd week in a row playing the FO, the 6-ship FO, and got the win. So that list in the Sector Series is 3-0. I've been playing around with the loadouts, but the same ships. It's basically DT. I don't have it listed up here. I think it's in the roll better. But yeah, it's been DT and Scorch, Malrus, and Gaelic, which I don't think I've ever, not once, remembered to use Gaelic's ability. It's just like, don't remember.
You get demoralized when a ship dies, don't you?
I just don't even remember it until after the game, not even like the next turn. After the game, I'm like, oh, I forgot to use it again.
It's always Scorch. It's always Scorch or DT who dies. Like, you just gotta. Anyway,
Actually, for me, it's always Whirlwind. Whirlwind never survives because I always get cocky and and the other 2 are Whirlwind and the other 4-point Whisper.
Oh, Nightfall.
Nightfall, yeah. But the reason that I always get overconfident with Whirlwind. I'm like, oh, I don't need to focus. I'm just gonna have a focus and shoot and be be modded and have all this cool stuff. And then he dies because he's initiative 3. So at some point I will learn that you probably take a defensive token at some point.
Once in a while. Once in a while.
But, so I've been flying that. And what I like about that list is, I am a present dice stats kind of person. Just that's
You
what
make me sick.
Hey, it is what it is. But I do. I like to see, like, is it me, or is it like it feels a certain way? But sometimes you feel like the luck is against you, but it's really not. And so that's just something that I enjoy. But
how do you review that after a game? How do you review those numbers after a game?
After, like, every other round. What do you mean after a game?
Oh, but so how? Are you clarifying that it's the TTS numbers?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
anyway,
a whole nother topic as to why I don't like that.
you could like it or not like
numbers.
it. Yeah, it's not the. You can like it or not like it. That's not. I'm not asking about that. So, but I do. And one of the things that I like about this particular list is that it tends to not be as variance dependent. Even if I have terrible variance, like I'm usually still in the game, and most of the time it's because of the extra health on the TIFOs plus the jam, like the constant jamming of stuff. Even if my dice are bad, your dice are going to be bad too because they're going to be unmodded, and that tends to be kind of be a dice neutralizer, because if I have good dice and I put myself in a decent spot, I'm usually going to win. If I have bad dice, you're probably having bad dice too, because you're not modifying. At least your main ships are not modifying. The two so far, the 2 Whispers, I have not flown them in anything other than a defensive or a support. They're like 2 support ships. They have a proton rocket, like they can do some damage, but I'm not flying for. A lot of the time, I just have their rear arc pointed, because mostly what I'm trying to do is jam and block and set up the other ships to survive and do damage. Like the 3-die guns from DT and Scorch are probably the most damage output that I do with anything. If you're shooting something that's unmodded and it's receiving a couple shots. Oh, and I also went with Tractor Beam, because I think last week we were reviewing somebody that did Tractor Beam and it looked really cool. But anyway, so I've been flying that. It's been doing well. I think so far the whole time that I've flown that, I lost 1 game, and it was a close one at that. So it's been good. I don't think that's the best combo though. I think Whirlwind is probably not the right call, just because initiative 3, sometimes he's in a position where he messes up, like the movement. Like everybody wants to move at different times.
Yeah.
So it might be worth sacrificing those free focuses to get another I4 in there, whether it's Backdraft or one of the generic Whispers, just something so that they can move at the same time.
Yeah, I know. I will comment on this. Like, you were the first person to really show me the power of ships that can move at the same initiative. This is ever since first edition. Like, just having the more, we talked about it before, the more options you have, the more likely you are to have tools for success in a game. And having ships that move at the same initiative is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Especially, it becomes exponential as you have more of them. You have 3 or 4 ships that can move at the same initiative, and all of a sudden your opponent has got no idea that's going to go on.
I'll say that it even got better with the new bump rules, because now you can set it up to where your ships are all bumping enemy ships, depending on who moves first. And you can also determine, like, oh, I'm going to move this ship first to bump bump an enemy ship and get a range 0 shot because it's the weaker gun, and then the higher gun is going to run into my own guy, but kind of like hop over him and just still get the stress focus and have a fully modded range 1 shot. So you can play around with
Clever boy.
who shoots the modded shot, who doesn't shoot the modded shot, and just making sure that everybody hits an enemy ship versus, running into yourself. And anyway, so Whirlwind does that. Whirlwind gets in the way, and I'm like, move.
So what did you end up playing against this week?
I played against Boy Vader, Mauler, Backstabber, Vizier with Seventh Sister, and Iden. So basically 3 TIE fighters, Vizier. Vizier is the one with Seventh Sister, or?
No, it's Faroff with Seventh Sister normally. People
Okay,
take
it was the one with Seventh Sister. It was Seventh Sister.
Okay,
it
that's the better
wasn't
one.
Palpatine. So it was Seventh Sister, the 2 Stabber and Mauler, Iden with an Ion, and then Boy Vader. And basically, same as it's been every week. Same as it's been every time that I play against that type of list. I'm done with Whirlwind and kill Whirlwind round 2. And then Nightfall ends up just shadowing Vader, and wherever Vader goes is just jam, 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 jam. And Vader becomes kind of a not very helpful.
Sad.
So did they deploy Iden with the boys?
Yes.
Okay. I think
Yeah, they were like in a trio, and then he had Vader flanking, but then kind of like meet at the center. Because after I killed one of his TIE fighters, Vader became like the 3-die amp for the other one.
Yeah.
So he did a good job like flying them in the right order. But Vader's shot was muted and 4-starved because I wasn't shooting at Vader, so he wasn't regenerating. And he didn't have a target lock, so it was a very.
You feel Iden hampered the ability for the boys to utilize their afterburners at a better effect? Because I think that's what I find that happens a lot. Is Iden tethers them too much, and they just want to go their speed, and Iden can't keep up.
Possibly because at one point he did the afterburners, and I had completely forgotten that those things existed on those ships. And I'm like, but that was after like towards later in the game. He did a K-turn and like boosted in or something like that. I was like, ooh, you can do that.
This was already after you killed one of them.
No, but it was after we had already like gotten all messy and everything.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think people like the idea of putting Iden with 4 Hull TIE fighters, but then those TIE fighters, being Mauler and Stabber, in the early game, kind of get hampered. Like there's like Iden ends up getting in the way because she's lower initiative, so you want her to kind of go first. But then those Backstabber Mauler can't fully utilize those afterburners and the speed and maneuvers they want to do.
So
now,
what
maybe
do you do in place of that?
So you either could take Iden. There's some matchups where maybe you still keep Iden with them, or you put Iden by herself and just say she's going to go do my objective things.
Yeah,
still,
and if they shoot her,
Iden's
then
charge on herself, right? Yeah. Or you swap out Iden from Moff Gideon and make all those ships hurt even harder. I think that's what I would do. Use Moff Gideon with cloaking device, and your choice of either like Notorious or stack them up with like some FTC and targeting computer and like a Talon or something, just to, if they're not going to shoot Moff Gideon anyway, at least you have a way to do some late game jam, or if someone tries to jump on you can't get locked right away because of FTC.
Yeah, that was actually my game against the Kyber Cup. My Kyber Cup this week or last week was against the same list, but with Moff Gideon instead of Iden.
All right. So what about you, Ryan? Tell us about your week.
So maybe not too much of a surprise. I didn't change my list. Stick with the same Republic list.
It's all right. You're
SOC,
practicing, man.
OB, ADA, Contrail regular, kickback SOC, click SOC. Salvage I knew was going to be a little difficult. what compounded on top of that is my opponent brought 6FO, a variant of it. I mean, the baseline 4 is always the same to me. It's Malrus, it's Gaelic, it's DT, it's Scorch, right? It's what you do with the last 8 points. Some people, now, Marcel, if you wanted to pursue Whirlwind further, some people have been partnering Whirlwind next to Midnight. Midnight using swarm tactics to bump Whirlwind up to 6. And that's not just like the only like cool combination. Like obviously getting Whirlwind up to 6 means you could bump up when you get those focus tokens. But one thing that kind of intrinsically work between the two is normally the way you deal with Midnight is have a lot of things look at Midnight, because Midnight can only deal with getting mods away from one ship, Midnight blocks. But if you put Whirlwind next to Midnight that wants a lot of things looking at it, because then it will get a bunch of focus tokens. There's kind of a weird dynamic there. What I do think is its biggest downside is Whirlwind and Midnight being tethered as they are. They're not the same chassis. Midnight can't boost in this. Midnight's loadout is cluster missiles, swarm tactics, elusive, and targeting synchronizer. What targeting synchronizer helps out with is, since Midnight is locking at 6, that's painting the lock for Whirlwind for the cluster missiles. And because Whirlwind is getting all those extra focus tokens and has advanced optics, you essentially have a way to get a mostly modded cluster missile attack or 2 cluster missile attacks. So, but I think what the issue is because Midnight only has a barrel roll, it has no boost. And Whisper would like to get into the fight and start jamming stuff. Depending on how you deploy and how you work with the list, though, them being tethered is hampering to them in the movement aspect. In the shooting and like choosing your target aspect, because Midnight has the targeting synchronizer, that is a boon. That's an extra bonus. It helps Whirlwind get up to 6 and use Whirlwind's ability. Now in this list, because there's less things shooting after Gaelic, opted for Gaelic with the ion cannon, which I agree actually. You don't have the rest of your list or most of your list shooting after Gaelic to take more full advantage of the tractor beam. Now, when we played the game, I mean, I knew 6FO any variant in a salvage against my Republic list that only wants really 1 or 2 ships to ever pick up the objectives, but at the same time, the ships that I'm more like willing to pick up those objectives are the same ones I want tokens to provide born for the squad. So
right.
Difficult dynamic there. Now, how it ended up working out and deployed is the boxes were generally the normal like X spread, right? You got one corner, one the opposite corner, one kind of close to their side, close to the other side to make that like tilted X essentially. It's pretty close to that. I bring big rocks. I think he brought mostly small-ish. He deployed kind of spread. I mean, that one disadvantage of knowing that Midnight and Whirlwind want to be tethered is because Whirlwind's 3. Whirlwind's going to deploy at I3. So even though I ended up having, or did not have road turn 0, I forget. Either way, I knew where Whirlwind is, so I know where Midnight's probably going to start in the game. So Anakin had an idea in my list where to go, where not to go. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted Anakin to just kind of play around that area and use his mobility to still work around Midnight Whirlwind anyway and ace them out. Or, depending on how he deployed, which he did spread, so he had DT Scorch kind of middle, ready to go straight up a couple of open lanes down the middle. He had Whirlwind and Midnight off in one corner, and then Malrus and Gaelic off in another corner. And I saw this, and I was like, because Midnight doesn't have boost and will take time to get across the board, I stacked up most of my stuff across from Malrus and Gaelic. There were still generally 2 crates I could pick up if I wanted to, but I really only wanted to pick up 1 along the way. And I went kind of full send. And DT kind of came in to intercept. Scorch went up the middle, pick up the middle crate. I gave up crates to do this. It was kind of a risky play. I could have adjusted some maneuvers to really get on the target Gaelic, because Gaelic and Malrus one turned away first. They didn't go straight.
Oh, okay.
DT banked toward to kind of intercept and help him out. But then they both one turn back in for Gaelic to pick up the crate. If I would have thought about, if I'm the first order player, what I want to do here, I would have kind of suspected like that's what he wanted to do. So my guns, instead of going on DT, should have reached further back, because Obi and Anakin both did pretty fast maneuvers, but not the fastest to get all the way up there. More particularly Obi. Contrail got up the board, probably could have went one more speed faster to get to Gaelic, whereas most of my shots went into DT instead. And he held on, and that's what happened is, even though I stacked up everything essentially was against DT, Gaelic, and Malrus, Malrus didn't get a lock for cluster missile almost most of the game. I was able to get in and fight mostly those three with Scorch every other turn-ish, because I was able to zoom past him and he picked up a crate, so he didn't have a really good offense on his attack. Then Whirlwind and Midnight had to take their time, and Midnight actually said, I'm just going to skirt down the board and get the other objective. So he picked up 4 crates. Not the second turn, but after the first 2 or 3 turns of engagement. And because his FOs just kept holding on, he rolled a good amount of evades, but I just couldn't bring them down fast enough to get the clock ticking of those crates off. And if I would have picked the target party a little better and zooming past DT with my 2 aces and getting to the backline Malrus and Gaelic and pick whatever one was going to pick up the crate and go after them, that probably would have helped a little more. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the numbers advantage was his. He has some. When his ships want to be sturdy, they'll be pretty hard to kill, which they were. And eventually, it came to time, and he got it 17-9, because I only took out Malrus and Gaelic, and he got a lot of objective points and only killed Obi. All my ships survived. I mean, he was saying like he was getting a little frustrated with I born for this stuff all working together, stuff not dying, and can R2D2ing. So there wasn't a lot of death. I went in for the kills because I knew that's what I could do against him.
Right.
And I tried to like bring ships down more before he could get to the point where he was stacking up those points. If I adjust my approach in the beginning a little bit and go for the backline ship instead of DT, I think I give myself a little bit of a better chance, since Gaelic had no defensive mods, since Gaelic did pick up.
Do you remember what your final score ended up being? How close was it?
Well, final score was 17-9.
All right.
It wasn't that close. He killed Obi on the last turn, plus had a lot of objective points. Mm-hmm. I had actually a reasonable way to get on the last turn to kill both DT and Scorch. Neither of those 2 happened, and he killed Obi. So I need to have Obi live and me kill both those 2 FOs, which were reasonable chances, but they didn't occur. I think if I still adjust the early game, it helps the later game. And there was definitely some times in the game where I could have picked some different moves for Obi that would have helped out more, because he bumped into friendly ships because of how many things were. The fight that was going on was just a cluster. And I mean, if Obi bumped into friendly, if he was going to take a damage, I would use R4P, take a strain instead. It happened twice. Both times I ran into a friendly, it was going to be a damage, and Obi said, "Thanks, droid. No, I'll take a strain instead," and he was fine.
Awesome.
So on this list, actually, quick question. I'm just looking at this list and what it wants to do. And I think William will probably agree with me, but maybe not. On Whirlwind, would you bump up or bump sideways, not up, to Mag Pulse and get a Mag Pulse at I6?
No, you're just trying to shoot as much as possible. Does Malrus also have cluster in this version?
No, Malrus has clusters. The reason I'm saying is because, especially if he's flying together with Midnight, and you got Midnight, and Midnight is usually vulnerable on that initial, coming in initially, and if you can get that jam deplete on the most dangerous ship shooting back, that is not that is not target locked. Well, maybe if it is target locked because the target is synchronizer. But either way, if you can mute the damage output, and Mag Pulse, the higher initiative, the better on that. I don't know. It's just a thought.
I think the potential issue with that is because Midnight has targeting synchronizer. a lot of Midnight's attacks want to be to the same target as Whirlwind. And I think most of the time, mag pulses want to be used as a utility piece that may not be going all in on everyone shooting the same thing. It's taking that one thing that may not be, you're not going to kill, and reduces attack coming back at you.
But this list doesn't have any range 3 threats. And
Just
again,
don't be at range 3, man.
Yeah, that's why I was very aware of, because Midnight and Whirlwind are tethered as they are, and they were put on the opposite corner of the board. I tried to take advantage of that. They take a while to get in the fight if they're not deployed, or if they're not deployed in the right spot, and I could pick a different area for things to exist. I mean, there could be a reason to put Whirlwind right in the middle and just say, I've at least cut the board in half of where I need to go with Midnight and Whirlwind. I mean, so what? I'm an I-6. You don't always have to be corner deployment with a higher initiative ship anyway. I think people need to be more willing to deploy middle of the board with some of their pieces.
It's scary though, right? It's you by being on an edge, you don't have to think about half of the board.
But you have 4 other ships to cover your flanks in some regard. Put 2 on one side, 2 on the other. Figure it out.
But I'm scared, Ryan. I'm scared.
Oh no! Get over your fears. I believe in you.
I don't want to. I mean, I know. Definitely setting up in the center. I feel like whenever I have played against an opponent who's also willing to set up in the center, it makes me go, all right, this guy knows what he's doing. The more of his pieces that they set up in the center, you're like, oh, okay, this one's gonna be a tough one when it comes in a tournament.
You know what happens for me? It's if I'm setting up a low initiative something, and I think I'm a jouster, and my opponent sets up directly in front of me at a higher initiative, I start thinking to myself, wait, like, what am I missing? Wait.
what did I mess up?
Should I turn away? Should I just ride hard and just like fly? Like, what am I doing?
Well, continuing talking about Sector Series here a little bit. So this week is week 5. All right, this is technically the last round of Swiss. Okay, the last round of Swiss before we are going to be going into a wild card round. All right, so in order to get into the wild card round, you need to be in the top 4 or have the same score as the lowest rated top 4. All right, the same event score. The wild card will be played in order to get that, however many people end up being tied with that 4th place person, into a 4 people. All right, that's the goal. All right, we should be able to do it. So when I mathed it out originally, it worked. Hopefully I didn't screw it up too badly. But what that means is that starting the next week, as we start getting elimination games, we're going to be scheduling some more streams in order to make sure that we can catch these games, because we want to make sure we see the culmination of this championship. Obviously we're not able to be live every single day, but obviously since we have this is our event, Sector Series, we want to make sure that we can make it happen. So Mega Silver said finished 3-2 in Sector Series. Oh, good run though. Good run. It happens. I'm currently undefeated in Sector Series. You're welcome. Remember, if you want to check out the prizes, you can go to goldsquadronpodcast.com. Prizes are listed there for if you guys make the cut, so you guys know what's going on. Now, before we leave for the night, we got asked a strange question, and I looked at this and I hemmed and I hummed, and I wasn't sure if we should ask this question, but I figured in good fun, I would throw it out. So this comes from Brendan, I believe it's Brendan Morsey, if I'm not mistaken. Said, so a hypothetical situation here that I'm keen to hear you guys discuss on the podcast. Most definitely do not hope anything even close to the situation described ever happens. But if Dion was to disappear one day, go on to the next stage, all right, and AMG decided to create him in X-Wing, in the X-Wing game as a card to memorialize his impact on the game and the community, what ability / card / type of card would he be and why? I don't know. In this situation, I'm not able to have an opinion.
My mind immediately goes to like a yearly community award, like best person out of the community deal. It'd be like the honorary I'm trying to think of, when they have the Bob Knight award or something like that. I'm trying
like the Walter Payton Award in NFL.
Yeah,
sure. Exactly. That would be my first go-to, but yeah, I don't know about in the game.
In the game,
I gotta because you're like the captain, like you're the pilot, right? Like you're driving the boat ish. So I would say a VCX pilot. I'll definitely put you in the Rebels. So a VCX pilot, and your ability would be a range 0 to 3. During deployment, if you are within range 0 to 3 because you have wide
reach,
all friendly ships that deploy within range 0 to 3 get a hull upgrade. Get an extra hull.
That seems pretty good. That seems pretty good. You just need to be by me to get more hull.
I definitely agree with something along those lines where you're definitely driving a big ship, right? You're leading the charge with big ship, maybe a YV party bus style, or a Falcon, or a VCX. I would lean towards the lines of 0 to 3 level ability, and something that's just designed to like a Lando style, whether it's Resistance or Rebel Lando. Just decide to help you, you're just helping everyone. You're like the general, the commander, you're there in comms. You're like helping everybody out. You're directing everything. You got it all organized. You got it all figured out. You're maintaining the chaos as best you can. Whatever ability that translates to, I don't know, but that's what I visualize.
Is there something you could? I'm trying to think of streaming. People could use your arc to shoot from because you're showing your what you're watching
or
to other people.
The targets, maybe he has built-in tracers, but gets to shoot his regular shot, do damage, plus.
But
when
everybody
you do damage, friendly ships get to acquire a lock.
Yeah, so everybody can see what you're looking at, Dion.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Or could go either way. Both gain something from it, or you calm everyone down. You keep the community all level-headed as best you can.
It's gonna be okay.
They have the option to either acquire a lock token, or remove a red or orange token.
I like it. Cool. All right. But that can't be for a while. I got a lot of stuff to do, okay? I'm busy. I'm too busy for this situation to happen. Thank you. Now he says repeat for the other squad members. So, let's see. Let's go Marcel first. Next. I guess I went first. So
Marcel's card's just blank, so he doesn't have to read it.
You can't get it wrong if you don't have to read it.
Oh my god!
Oh, it's like dorsal turret, just attack.
Yeah, Marcel, you get a special Marcel weapon that says attack.
but no, it's going to have a lot of dice. That loves throwing a ton of dice, right? So it's like a one charge, one use, just yeet beam cannon, like this bullseye 5-die one charge use attack.
I mean, I think that's your.
If it ain't cheating, I don't like it.
Ooh.
It could be a gunner too, right?
Yeah. I like it. Whew. If you want to make it cheating, how about maybe something along the lines of you get to do something with a 7th dice? Or you somehow break, I don't know how.
Break the dice max rules.
Break the dice max rules somehow, but like a way that doesn't completely break the game. Maybe you're throwing attack dice and defense dice at the same time, because that's also cheating.
You can always claim an objective to get a victory point from it because you don't know what scenario you're playing.
Or as an action at the start of the during setup, spend this charge to change the scenario.
Oh, just change the scenario.
Just
spend this charge, flip a coin.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Setup, change the scenario.
I think we nailed it. Nailed it. All right, let's move.
I'll love Marcel. Don't.
Whew.
I
What?
heard Dion go that hard laughing.
That was like
pretty
you
good,
just
Will.
you hit me right in the funny bone. Right, you broke me. You broke me. All right, what about for Ryan? So I want for Ryan, I want something with precision. I want something to do with the bullseye. I want something. Let's see. Trying to boil him
You
down.
want the opposite of me. So you want something that is so complex that you have
Full
to read
text.
the front and then the back of the
It
card.
folds out. The card just opens. There's more text on the inside.
boom,
The
boom,
card is
boom,
the first
yeah.
brochure card in the game.
I like it. Or double-sided upgrade might be the way
Sure.
to go, right? If you're trying to
First
keep
ever
it on.
double-sided pilot because there's just not enough room.
This is
All the words.
continued on other side. Lots of ifs and ands and if you do then and if you do not then and if you choose to you must and if you do then your opponent can't. Like lots of those qualifying statements, I believe is what that's called. I like it.
That sounded a little like Zam now.
You know what? Yeah, give them some condition cards. Why not? Yeah.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
I remember having to make like a flow chart just for Sam to understand. Like, oh, this is what this does. Oh, this is in this phase. This is what happens when you do this. That's probably pretty close. Yeah.
I like it. All right. And what about for Will?
That's easy. That's when rolling dice, you may instead play Loop and Chewy.
But if you weren't around in first edition, nobody knows that reference. That's
Gotta
Yeah,
bring
it's a
it back.
first edition card.
it's a legal first edition
first
card.
edi-
It's printed in the small form factor and
it's
is
a tiny-
vertical.
It's a tiny little upgrade.
If game
Adorable
ends in
little
draw,
tiny-
play Loop and Chewy instead.
I'll take it.
Some type of alternate draw scenario. Choose a game of choice. Something along the lines of you want to do a foot race, do it. You want to play?
yeah.
You want to play a hand of poker for it? Sure.
My card has a different tiebreaker than. Is there not a tiebreaker these days?
So
We just wrote it out, right?
We just
Yeah.
wrote it out now. Normally we're wroting it out.
I can choose the method of tiebreaker.
So
Love
to summarize, we get hull upgrade, no text, Encyclopedia of Text, and Lupin Chewy. That's what we came up with.
Works for me.
Pretty much.
Works for me, boys. Well, hopefully you all had a good time with us. We'll be back next week with episode 299, boys. 299. That's a lot of times of talking about X-Wing. It's a lot.
What are you gonna do for 300?
That's a lot of pressure, man. I keep getting messages like, "What are you doing for the 300th episode?" I'm like, "We're just doing an episode. Don't go pressure."
So we all gotta dress up like the 300.
Can we just do like 399.1 and then
bellies,
390?
but
Can we just put it off to Adepticon? Can we go like 399.1, 399.2?
We just ignore 300.
no, we just go 301,
no,
302, 303, and then jump back to 300.
No, we do 299 point. 299, the return. 299, bigger, better. Until Adepticon, then that's 300.
Saying a multi-part 299 until we get to either the episode just before or just after Adepticon.
Got it.
Yeah.
iTunes is gonna.
That won't be confusing to
That
anyone
won't be
at all. They're gonna need me to read it to them every time.
That's right.
Yeah, just get more elaborate with the naming convention. I'm sure it'll go over great.
First time caller says, "How about making an all guest episode?" That would be classic. Episode 300, none of us are on, and it's 4 completely different people. Like,
Wait, do we get to pick the people who replace us?
Yeah.
Actually, that would be cool. That would be cool. I wouldn't mind that. We each pick one person to represent.
Do they have to imitate us?
No, they don't have to imitate
not
us.
at
They have to
all.
represent us.
No, represent us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Represent us, not imitate.
playing the role
I already know
of.
who I'm grabbing.
I've got like 2 or 3 people.
I don't know who I would call upon.
I've got a couple that I think I'd be comfortable representing me.
Person absolutely would not really represent me in any case situation, but this would be the only time I'd be okay
Well,
with it.
none of them would duplicate. Like they wouldn't try to.
They don't get your style.
Own thing. No, I'm not. They got their own thing, but yeah. But
I think I would replace myself with Scott from Exile. Like, Scott, just go. Just you're fine. Do it.
you'll probably try to find someone that can keep it. that can drive the bus.
Gotta drive the bus. I need somebody else to drive the bus.
Keep someone on PG.
That guy would try and take over the bus. And then drive it into the ocean.
And drive it into the ocean. I think. Do I know who we're talking? Is it who I'm thinking?
Chris Allen or
No, not at all. This is an old callback here.
Oh no!
Wait, Coach?
No.
No, Coach. Yeah.
Oh, Coach. That would be.
That'd
I
be.
haven't played X-Wing in forever, but I'll still talk about it and drink at the same time.
This is true. We saw him at OVO. You know what he told me at OVO? He said, I miss OCX, but man, I'm doing a lot less drinking.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because I know he still does a podcast or something for BattleTech. That's what he's really into now.
But his shtick, the shtick of OCX with the heavy amount of the character in which he played, he's consuming less alcohol, which is good for him.
There's some unhealthy nights, I can assure you.
For sure.
Okay, submit your applications for replacing the 4 of us to at goldsquadron.com.
No, feedback at backtodials.com.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. All right, everybody. Well, have a wonderful week. We'll see you on the Discord. Make sure to hook up with us there if you want to talk about some X-Wing. If you're in Sector Series, get your games done. But most importantly, be smart and be safe. Gold Squadron out.